so much for tuning in today. If this is your first time, my name is Marie with Modern Day Vet Podcast, where we bridge the gap between military and the civilian sector. What are we going to talk about today? So I know that we've talked about disability in the past, but we kind of just steered more towards disability benefits. Today, I kind of want to talk about kind of the guide on how to file for disability. Now, everything's going to be verbatim. I'm going to try to do like a few reels or shorts where I'll do like a screen share as to how to look up the forms and how to file it on va.gov. But that's going to be later on when the actual podcast of this episode comes out. So with disability, you can file it as, and let me also do a disclaimer. I'm not associated with the VA, nor am I a VSO. So this is only my interpretation of how I do things. You always want to trust but verify. You can call the VA directly or contact a VSO in your area. And they have physical offices as well. Excuse me. Things changed after COVID. Some of them go into the office, some of them don't. And some of them kind of have like a hybrid schedule. But besides the VSO, there's a whole lot of other organizations that also assist along with your state as well. And we'll go into that more later on in the podcast. So I know a lot of people talk about how getting 100% is like what everybody roots and strives for, but at least just putting your foot in the door and not overwhelming yourself in the beginning is important as well. Now, if you have your list and you've been preparing and you've been doing your research, then yeah, go for it and see if you have 100% or see what they give you. But let's say you could only think of from the top of your head 1 or 2 disabilities, then just file for that first. And then you could always file for a disability increase. The VA is always going to be there. And you could always file for an increase later on. So it's not important. What's important is to kind of get your foot in the door. It's not, I need 100% disability because their pay rate is whatever for the monthly stipend. So even as low as 10%, you qualify for Chapter 31, which is vocational rehab. And with vocational rehab, I'm like spitting and shit. With vocational rehab, you qualify for schooling that's not directed in your GI Bill. So you wouldn't even use your GI Bill. Let me rephrase that. You don't automatically qualify for vocational rehab. You have to apply for vocational rehab, have a meeting with a counselor, and if they deem you appropriate for that Chapter 31 benefits, then you qualify for it. Now, if you are approved for it, you go to school. All you need is 1 day left on your GI Bill. And if you decide to go to school through that track, they give you BAH. That's not included in your GI Bill. That's not like, they don't even touch your GI Bill. So even though everyone wants to strive for 100% disability, which is the ultimate goal for a lot of people because financially it does help, keep in mind that there's other benefits once you get your foot in the door of just having a minimum of 10% that will arise. And just being a veteran as a whole, there's a lot of benefits. So I discussed that if you're a little overwhelmed with where to even start, you're going to start with va.gov. Va.gov, like I've said in previous videos, is your Bible for everything. You could literally but you can search on va.gov, literally anything that comes to mind. If you Google it or search it in the search bar, it may pop up, it may not. Some other ideas may pop up as well. And you got to keep that in mind. So where do you start when you're filing for disability? For one, if you're currently active duty still, you can start as early as 180 days prior to getting out. Now, if you start 180 days prior to getting out, it could be possibly a little easier. You'll have a lot more guidance when you're speaking to the VSOs. They'll guide you a lot more. There is no limit when you get out. So when you get out, you can file disability 20 years later if you want. There's no rush to do it. It's up to you if you want to file for disability or not. So, however, though, if you're over your 12-month point of separating out of the military, you don't get retroactive pay, which pretty much means you don't get back pay of your disability. If you are over your 12-month period, which is equal to a fucking year, not 12 years, you can file what is it called? Intent to file. So once you put in an intent to file, you don't need to have all your proof right then and there. With your intent to file, that's a specific date. And from that date, you have 12 months to provide proof of your claim. So let's say you're claiming foot pain, migraine, sleep apnea. From that date, let's say September 1st, you have till September 1st of the following year to provide proof. Now, if you have proof before then fine, just submit the proof and complete the whole disability claim. However, if you don't, you can go to the VA, like go over your medical records, kind of just overlook everything that's going on. So that's another thing I wanted to talk about. So I don't know what year the military went completely electronic. If you do know the year, just go ahead and comment down below, like, this is the year medical records went completely electronic. So when it comes to paper, it's a little bit more iffy. I was lucky enough to kind of be in the era of everything was electronic. So we didn't really, yes, I had a paper medical record. I didn't touch a ship. And I was also I was a corpsman. So I kind of already knew or kind of saw my medical record and had sight of where it was at kind of at all times. But if you're not in the medical field, keep track of your medical record. They're not going to give it to you. I don't even think they give it to you anymore unless you're about to separate. But back then they would give it to you so you could put in paperwork and stuff in your medical record. Like I said, that's not allowed anymore because for the most part, everything is electronic. You could only ask for an electronic medical record, I want to say, once or twice before you're separating. And for me, they gave me a CD. With other people, it may depend on your command or it may depend on, that's just what they're doing right now. They'll provide you a secured link. And from that secured link, you could download your medical record. Keep that safe because you're going to need that. So with that, before you even think about filing for disability or any of that, what I did was I pretty much took a Post-it because depending on how long you served, if you served 4 years, for the most part, you kind of couldn't go back mentally and be like, hey, I went to medical for this, I went for that. Or if you haven't been to medical yet and you're just like, hey, I know I've developed carpal tunnel while I was in, just write that stuff down. And if you haven't been seen for that just yet, go to your provider, see if you can get an x-ray, see if whatever else they can do for it. Carpal tunnel is just an example, but anything. If you have migraines, like I get really bad migraines. My situation was a little different. I kind of got out really quick because my dad passed away and stuff, but they were going to give me Botox on my neck to help with migraines. And now the VA offered it again to me. He said, if your migraines get that bad, if you want to explore Botox, we can explore Botox again to see if it will reduce your migraines. So like I said, I'm a little biased because I feel like my VA clinic, they've been very, very helpful since I've been back home. I know not everybody has that same experience, but hopefully this podcast could at least like open your eyes to different things that you can explore. And if your VA doesn't offer it, see if they'll provide you community care, which means you get out seen in the civilian sector, and see if it'll help out with that. Because I also did aromatherapy. The lady wasn't too sure about headaches because they had put something else in the medical note. They put it more towards anxiety for me to see aromatherapy, but she said peppermint oil on your temples. You can give that a try as well. It's just something that I personally experienced a few days ago when I went to the aromatherapy session with one of the nurses. But back on track. So the first step is you're going to try to get a copy of your medical record from whichever way you can get. If you're active duty, you're going to go to medical. You're going to go to medical records and see if they'll provide you a copy with your medical records. Or at a minimum, go to, and from my vocabulary, I'm kind of basing it off of Navy verbiage. Army, Air Force, Coast Guard, Marines, you guys are going to have, for the most part, different, well, Marines, you guys are with the Navy, but you guys will have different verbiage versus us, but we call it medical. I don't know what all the other branches call it. If you guys want to comment down below of what you guys call your medical setting or whoever you speak to. But you're going to grab your medical records. Like I said, if your memory is really good, you don't have to grab your medical records. Kind of get like a Post-it, a piece of paper, or like a note. Everybody's going electronic now. So if you want to do like a note on your phone and just say, hey, these are the things that I feel like the military, it kind of started in the military and it was made worse. So with a disability, they're not going to count anything that you had prior to. So obviously, if you had a child prior to joining the military and you didn't have a child at all during your military service, you're not going to get a disability. You're not going to get a disability for, I don't know, like scarring from having a baby because it didn't happen while you were in the military. So when it comes to disabilities, it has to be stuff that was started in the military, and also the military made the situation worse. So like I said, carpal tunnel, foot pain due to running with boots or just running in general, and the military not providing you with a proper running form. They're just telling you to fucking run. And you're like, I don't know how to run. And they're just like, you just got to go. So like, obviously, if you're not provided with proper military form of running, not military form, but proper form of running, you're going to develop shit. You're going to develop shin splints, foot pain, all that stuff, all types of injuries because we're not taught how to run, how to stretch. And I'm speaking from my own experience. If you guys had someone that actually educated you, kudos to you and kudos to that person that educated you. But I'm speaking from my own experience. And I was never really taught how to run, how to do proper form or any of that. It was just, you just had to fucking do it. And that's where injuries come into play. And especially now, I feel like because the children and the generations now, they don't go out as much. So when I was shooting x-rays in the boot camp in Great Lakes, they were breaking random shit. Like, how do you break a femur running 1.5 miles? Like, what in the fuck is, you're so fit. How is that even possible? So there's a lot of stuff that come into play with that. So obviously a broken femur is a big deal. And that's definitely a disability claim right there. But yeah, just go back, make your list of things that you feel was created while you were in military service. So the next thing you're going to do is, like I said, if you're 180 days, you could start as early as 180 days. As soon as you get out, if you want to start then, you could start as well. Over 12 months, you're going to do an intent to file. Or if you have all your stuff, you're going to file right then and there. But if you don't have all your stuff and you're over that 12-month mark, you don't get that back pay. If you want the back pay, then yes, you want to do the intent to file. If you are rich and you don't want to have the back pay, then don't. Just file when you're ready to file. But the smartest thing to do is, while you're gathering all your claims, all your appointments, all your information, do an intent to file. And that's all going to be on va.gov. And like I said, since it's kind of like a podcast setting, I'll try to kind of say where to go on the VA website. And later on, I'll try to make a video, a really quick, like 2-minute video of how, do like a screen share of how to get to it directly. But the main form that you're going to use to file a disability claim is VA Form 21-526 Easy Form. And pretty much what it states is the type of claim that you're requesting, which is a few. And I'm going to go over them really quick. If I could just get to, let me see. So the standard claim that you're going to do. And then there is a BDD claim, if I'm not mistaken. That's the acronym. And it stands for Benefits Delivery at Discharge. And that is the 180 to 90 days before separation. However, you will need to know your separation date for you to be able to do that one. The next one is FDC, and it's a fully developed claim. And you could start that 89 days before separation. And quote unquote, you will get a faster decision. If you have filed anything with FDC, comment down below and let me know. I'm not too familiar with that. I don't know if it is a faster turnaround for your disability, because I kind of filed my disability right when I got out. And then the standard one, which is the one I did, I filed it right when I got out. And you just check off. So that's going back to the VA form. They're going to ask for your full name, of course, first, middle, initial, and last name, your full Social Security. Have you ever had a claim with the VA disability? Yes or no? If you have, you're going to provide the VA file number. So that's if you've already filed and you're filing for an increase, that's when you'll have your file number. And that will be, we'll have to make a little quick snippet of a reel or something, and I'll show you how to access that. Your date of birth, it says service number, if applicable. If applicable, I'm not really sure what that is. For BDD claims only, which is what I previously stated, it's the date that you're anticipated to get out, so your separation date. And like I said, you could start as early as 180 days if you like for that. Your cell phone number, your current mailing address, and I think it asks you for a future change of address when you're out of the military, because you will get stuff in the mail, but you will also, if I'm not mistaken, no, you don't get an email, but you can go into your va.gov account and it will say any previous letters that have been mailed to you in the past. So anything that's been mailed to you in the past, it will be under letters in the VA. And then, yes, it asks you if it's a temporary or permanent address. And once you get out, you'll have a VA employee reach out to you and they'll kind of help you with your transition. I don't know if they're still doing that because I got out a little bit after COVID. So I'm not sure if they're still doing that. But if they are, they usually call you and they try to update all your information. They'll ask you if you're currently homeless. They are really pushing on trying to minimize the homelessness in the VA community. I don't know how well it's going, but I really hope that they do make some changes with that. And in the future, I am trying to make a video of all benefits towards homelessness, like all the benefits you have that can help you to hopefully like not put you in that position for you to be homeless, because there is a lot of programs, grants, and funds for that as well. And also, I'm doing the Chapter 31 myself, the vocational rehab, and I would say like every 2 to 3 weeks, they do text you or they call you and they tell you, hey, has anything changed? Are you not feeling safe at home? Are you at risk of being homeless? Do you need help with any of that stuff financially? Which I really do appreciate. And thankfully, I'm not in that position, but that's a very, very good thing. And I'm happy that they do that. They will ask you for a point of contact, exposure information. If you are exposed to certain toxic exposures, you will automatically qualify for VA benefits, not disability, VA benefits. So you'll be able to be seen at the VA for free. I want to say for up to a year. And that's called the PACT Act. And you can just look at what the current PACT Act is right now currently. So yeah, they are going to ask you if you did serve in any hazardous locations. And I did put out a video, a reel, and people didn't believe me. But yes, if you did serve in Bahrain, you are considered a combat veteran. There is a year, like separate years about it, but I'll have to go back and check the years. But from a certain year to now currently, you are considered a combat veteran. Yeah, so any exposures to asbestos, which for the most part, if you were on the ship, you probably were exposed to that. Shipboard hazard and defense, mustard gas, radiation, and contaminated water in Camp Lejeune. Jesus Christ. So yeah, I don't know what the whole situation is with Camp Lejeune, but I think there's actually a settlement that if you were exposed to the contaminated water in Camp Lejeune, you can file for a settlement because they got sued or something like that. Then there's going to be a space. This is page 10 by now. So this is section 5, the claim information. So they're going to give you a whole entire page of up to 15, numbered 1 through 15. You can have more than 15 claims that you're going to do. Keep that in mind. You could just ask for an extra sheet or just print out that sheet twice and write down everything you want to write down. But if you even want to print out that paper and just write it down on there just to have it as a go-by, you can do that as well. So it's going to be up to 15 numbers. And like I said, you could write down things just from the top of your head. And even if you want to write stuff down and then in the future you can change it, or in the future you want to increase it, you can do that as well. So let's say that you're claiming 4 things that you currently have proof for. And from the top of my head, I'm going to say TBI, chest pain, headaches, and I don't know, sleep apnea. But you don't have proof for foot pain. You still write that on your list. And if you want to increase your disability claim, you could increase it later on in the future without even touching your other disability claims. If you write a new one on your list after your claim is completed, they're going to reevaluate all your other claims. And like I've said, trust but verify, but that's my interpretation of how I've done my stuff in the past. But call the VA and check for yourself. Now, one thing I would get familiar with is I'll probably write it down on YouTube, or Obviously, if you're listening to me through Spotify or any other podcast that's not the actual video, I would write it down. It's 38 CFR Chapter 1. And that's where it discusses how it kind of breaks down the disability claims, what they're really looking for in verbiage or in your medical record of why they're going to grant you that claim. So, for example, if you say you have migraines, if they're going to give you a percentage and you say you get migraines once a year, they're not going to really give you a percentage for that because you're not getting sufficient migraines for it to validate that it's that bad that you need a compensation for that. However, let's say you get migraines twice a week or over 4 times a month, which I think is stated in the form I just discussed. Then yes, you will be provided, if they see fit, they will provide you with a disability compensation for that. Like I said, CFR what is it? CFR-1998 Title 38. And that's like the disability chapter claim or something. And it's 97 pages and it tells you pretty much what they're looking for when they are trying to rate you for your disabilities. And if I'm not mistaken, they discuss how they do calculations as well, because I know a lot of people have confusion about that. It's not 10 plus 10 equals 20 with VA math. They kind of like group all the extremities or they group all the certain areas of your body, and then they kind of average that percentage together. And if like you can't find the form I'm talking about right now, it's not a form, it's like a whole chapter. Just message me and I'll link it down below, or I'll email you and you guys can read it for yourself. Now, if you feel like it's a little bit too much and you're overwhelmed, there is different programs that could assist you with filing for a disability claim for free. And it's different organizations. The first one is, I want to say every not licensing office, but every state office of each state, they provide veteran benefits and free claim assistance. That's one of them. DAV, which is Disabled American Veterans, Paralyzed American Veterans. What's that one called? Let me see. American Legion, they have that as well. They're not open all the time. I've passed by a few of them, but they do have people ready to assist you at all times. I don't know why my voice is cracking. I feel like those kids that are going through like, I was going to say menopause. I hope a kid isn't going through menopause. The kids that are going through like their preteen years and their voice starts cracking, that's me right now. It could just be that I'm fucking tired, but I'm doing this for you guys because I love you guys. And if you could sense my sarcasm, then you know me too well. So yes, so I said Vietnam Veterans of America, that's one. Veterans of Foreign Wars. And if you don't necessarily feel like you fit in a certain group, like Paralyzed American Veterans, still go and try to speak to them and just get a sense of what assistance do they have. Obviously, if you're not paralyzed, you're not top priority. But in the veteran community, everybody wants to help everybody. So if you walk into an office, they're going to want to assist you. So for the VSOs, what you're going to do is go on va.gov and you could just type in VSO in the search bar and it'll give you like a thing where you can put in your zip code and it'll be your nearest office. But if you don't want to go into the office, you could just call somebody just randomly off the list. If you feel like you're not really vibing with that person or they may be having a bad day, they don't really want to assist you, just say thank you for your advice and stuff and call another person until you feel like you're comfortable enough to be with someone that genuinely wants to help you. Not saying that they don't. They probably all want to help you, but you may click with someone else and you may feel more comfortable proceeding with your stuff. All right, guys. So thank you so much for tuning in. If you have any questions about what I previously stated, you are an adult and you can look up stuff on Google. But no, in all seriousness, you can reach out to me and ask me for questions. But just keep in mind, like I said, I'm not affiliated with the VA. I'm doing this because I genuinely want veterans to get the benefits they deserve, and I'll help you out to the best of my ability. But not just me. Any video you see on YouTube or any article you come across, if it's not directly off of a .gov website, you always want to verify that information. Not like I'm sitting here feeding you guys bullshit because I wouldn't be wasting my fucking time. But Just verify all information you come across in the internet, especially if it's not a .gov website. But anyway, I do appreciate you guys tuning in. Go ahead and share, subscribe, and put out the word. Even if this information doesn't like really help you out, it'll help someone else out. And that's the importance of this community that we're building, to help each other out and to make sure we're all good. But you guys have a great night, and I will see you the following week.